Ah, Halloween. The one night a year when we collectively agree to embrace the weird, the creepy, and the downright bizarre. But have you ever stopped to wonder where all these strange traditions come from? First off, let's talk about the origins. You probably know that Halloween has roots in ancient Celtic festivals like Samhain, where people believed the boundary between the living and the dead became blurred. But did you know it was originally more about warding off spirits than inviting them in? They weren't carving pumpkins. They were lighting bonfires and wearing animal skins to scare away anything that might cross over. Yeah, that friendly ghost costume you've got? Not exactly what they had in mind. And speaking of pumpkins, ever wonder why we carve faces into them? The practice actually comes from an old Irish legend about a man named Stingy Jack, who tricked the devil and got cursed to wander the earth with only a carved-out turnip to light his way. When Irish immigrants came to America, they found pumpkins more plentiful than turnips, and boom, jack-o'-lanterns were born. So every time you carve one, just know you're part of a centuries-old prank on the devil himself. But let's not forget about trick-or-treating. You'd think it's a modern candy-coated tradition, right? Wrong. It actually dates back to medieval Europe, where people practiced something called souling. The poor would go door to door on Hallowmas, offering prayers for the dead in exchange for food. So next time you see kids ringing your doorbell, remember, they're basically medieval beggars in superhero costumes. And of course, Halloween wouldn't be complete without costumes, right? But why do we dress up at all? The idea was to confuse evil spirits by disguising ourselves, essentially making them think we're one of them so they leave us alone. Think of it as cosmic camouflage. Only now, instead of warding off ghosts, we're trying to win best costume at the office party. But here's the real kicker. Halloween almost didn't survive in America. In the early days, it was actually frowned upon by the Puritans, who saw it as a pagan festival. It wasn't until Irish and Scottish immigrants brought their traditions over in the 19th century that Halloween started to gain traction in the US, so you can thank them for your annual sugar rush. Fast forward to today, and Halloween is a multi-billion-dollar industry. From haunted houses to pumpkin-spiced everything, it's less about spirits and more about sales. But even though it's become a little more commercial, there's something timeless about the thrill of dressing up, scaring ourselves silly, and celebrating the unknown. So, why do we keep celebrating? Maybe it's our way of embracing the things we fear most: death, darkness, the unexplained, and turning them into something we can laugh about. Or maybe, just maybe, we're all still a little afraid of the dark, and Halloween lets us control the fear, if only for one night. So before you carve your pumpkin or throw on your costume, let's dive into a few more spooky surprises you probably didn't know about Halloween. Did you know that candy corn, yes, that little sweet treat we either love or hate, was originally called chicken feed? That's right. Back in the late 1800s, it was marketed to farmers because it looked like, well, corn. Now it's a Halloween staple, but it wasn't always about the spooky season. And for those of you already dreading the holiday, I say, there's an actual term for that: Samhainophobia, the fear of Halloween. It's a real thing, and it's named after the ancient Celtic festival that gave birth to Halloween itself. Imagine being terrified of a holiday that's all about terror. Speaking of history, did you know that Halloween was once a matchmaking holiday? In the 19th century, single women would do all sorts of strange rituals, like throwing apple peels over their shoulders, hoping the shape would reveal their future husband's initials. Crazy, right? Oh, and get this. Harry Houdini, one of the greatest magicians of all time, died on Halloween in 1926. Talk about eerie timing for a master of illusion and mystery. So, while you get ready for your Halloween festivities, just remember, this night is full of more bizarre and spooky traditions than you might think. Subscribe to Buzzlit, where we dig deeper into the stories behind the spooky and keep the spirit, or should I say spirits, alive.